3. It's finally happening, Kyle. We're finally doing an A-Rod only podcast. This is going to be fun, huh?
Yep. Enough of that Tim Salmon guy.
Yeah, nice. So this is Kyle. He's a buddy of mine, a fellow A-Rod collector, and I had the chance to meet him at the National, which was really cool. It's kind of interesting how you find out you got some competitors collecting the same guy and the same cars, and at first you're kind of like digging into the trenches, like, all right, you know what? I'm not letting this guy get any of the cards, yada yada yada. And then you actually meet somebody in person, and I mean, yeah, you're such a nice guy, Kyle. I'm like, all right, I can't be mean to him anymore. He's too nice. But no, it was awesome getting to see you at the National, man. We had a good time walking around and checking some things out. I got to see you pick up a Clemente, which was really cool. I was there for that. But thanks for coming on the Side Credentials, Kyle. This was your idea. You've really been wanting to get on here, and yeah, excited to talk some A-Rod cards.
Yeah, excited for it.
All right, man. So, hey, Kyle, you are a big Yankees fan, right? First off.
Yeah.
Is that where your idea for collecting A-Rod came from? Because you didn't start with the 90s like I did, right?
Yeah, well, the first of my collecting goes back to probably 2007-ish. My sister originally gave me her collection that she had when she was younger. Mm-hmm. So then when she did that, then I was all in. But I started collecting A-Rod. He was always my favorite player, so when I started collecting, it was just easy to already collect him. So I really collected him starting in 2000. I picked up a jersey card at a local card shop, and then after that, I was all in on A-Rod. So that's when it started going nuts.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's 2013. That's when the jersey cards, man, were just like full bore being mass produced, you know. But at that age, I mean, how old were you when you got that A-Rod jersey card?
I was probably 12 or 13.
Gotcha. So, I mean, at a young age, getting a card like that was like getting a base card A-Rod for me. I mean, it was super exciting, and so that definitely makes sense. So from that point on, you kind of went all in, but you, for the most part, have always, until recently, stayed with some of the more modern cards from 2013 on, right?
Yeah, I basically got into the 90s stuff probably about 2 years ago or so.
All right, and we got Ben in here saying what's up. Nice to see somebody else ready for some A-Rod talk. Good to see you, Ben. Good to have you in here. So it's kind of interesting. I remember when you got into the group a couple years ago, obviously, when you got into the 90s, what was what spearheaded the I'm going to get into 90s cards plus because I've seen some of your modern cards, man, and they're just nasty. I mean, your A-Rod collection is by far my favorite as far as well-rounded from the beginning of his rookie year all the way to when he retired. But where did the 90s, idea come from?
So I always knew about the 90s cards. I always had like a desire to collect it. Originally, there was only like a certain select like 5 that I really wanted, like cards like the 97 limited exposure number to 40 and stuff like that. So I always liked them, but it always just felt like this huge, like daunting thing to collect. And like, I knew like nothing about it. So it was like so hard to learn it. Like I didn't like really go full in until probably like since I went after the chrome stuff, like rainbow's really hard. And then I'm like, because that was a daunting task to me at first too. So I was like, well, since I can do that and get a majority of those, I was like, I got to start the 90s stuff now. Like since I knew I would love it. So it was hard to get into it, but once you get into it, it's really fun and enjoyable. It's just like such a daunting task to learn all the different stuff about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, think about us. I mean, even guys like, Ben, who's been doing it, collecting since 97. You saw that episode with him and Dan on there. I mean, even those guys at times learn something new about it still. I mean, there's so much to uncover and peel back the layers and layers and layers of all these like executive proofs and unreleased sets and samples, yada, yada, yada. So I hear you, man. When I got in, I must have missed. I know I missed the limited exposure. I missed a lot of these cards because I didn't know what I was looking at. I didn't know what I was looking for. So I would say, oh, this is a nice numbered card. Boom, $15. Boom, $20. And now those are more expensive, thankfully, because I was just got lucky, I guess. But yeah, man, I'm thinking about 4 years ago, I go down that rabbit hole and I find some groups and I start, like you found the group, started digging. This guy posted a card. Ooh, I wonder if A-Rod's in there. Ooh, I wonder if A-Rod's in there, and it was just downhill after that for sure. But
yeah, that's the cool part about the 90s is the stuff that got me into it is something like the SP limited exposure is something you knew nothing about. So that's how vast it is, like, to get into it. It's crazy.
Oh man, and it is vast, and we're really lucky too, because we joke about this on the podcast a lot. Our guy A-Rod was in a lot of 90s inserts. I mean, he's in some of the coolest ones out there. We've talked about the Established. We both have one of those. We've grabbed the holographics, my favorite card. I mean, he's in some incredibly tough cards. Then he's also in some of the visually appealing cards that are, not too expensive, but he was in just about everything. So we're pretty fortunate to be in that, that select group where we have a lot to chase, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to think. So what was in your 5, like your original 5? You said your limited exposure. What other cards were like, even before you heavily got into 90s? What was another one that was like, gotta have this card, man?
I have a couple of them.
Yeah, let's see them, man.
Early Road to the Hall was one of them.
Yep, good
I've
choice.
always wanted this one.
Nice.
The Established.
Yep.
Was also one. I think the Fortune 15 was one of them, but I can't remember for sure.
I remember when you got that too. I was excited when it got listed. I was sending you a link. I'm like, okay, tell me you know about this card, dude. And I think you're like, shh, you'll see. Yeah.
The other 3 were the Shining Stars, the Pulsar version.
Yeah, that's a beautiful card.
That one. Yeah, I love that one. Then here's the limited exposure.
Yep. I love that card. I love a lot because he's got that snow cap on in the picture of him hitting. It's the only card like that in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I know you were just as bummed as I was that I missed that card, man. I lost it the last second. That's a beautiful card. Love it.
And then the sister of this one is the other one that I've always wanted. The out of 55, the executive suite.
And that thing's got a cool story that we both have a connection to now, which is really cool, right? So what's the original story behind that card?
So I was scrolling through eBay one day, specifically looking for 90s inserts because I wanted one just to pick one up because I hadn't gotten one in a while. And I was looking through just a whole slew of A-Rods, and I saw a signed baseball in a display. So I look closer at it, and I see that there's one of these in there. So I'm looking at it, and I'm like, well, it's just going to be the base one, but I'll look at it anyways. Then I zoom in and see, I'm like, that looks kind of shiny. I'm like, then I look at it again and realize, that's the number to 55 one. And I'm like, holy crap. Yeah, I need that right now. So I offered him $40 and he like immediately accepted it. And he thought I just wanted the baseball in it. Like, I'm not going to tell him like, you got a really nice card there, dude. I'm like, I'm not telling you that. So I'll take $40 for that and the baseball. Thanks.
And then, fast forward, I think I did say it on my channel earlier. I show up at the National and you're like, hey, check this out. You pull out the ball for me. You're like, here you go. I couldn't believe it, man. I was so stoked because I'd already found I'd already bought that A-Rod. So I'm like, I've peaked, man. I've peaked at the National. And here you show up and you give me that ball. So I'm actually going to get a ball display for it that has, I can't decide if I want it in like a card and ball display or just a really cool ball display with like the glove or something, like one of those gold gloves. But that would be awesome. But anyway, dude, I that was such a cool thing. And just to hear that you found such a cool card for so cheap. I mean, I seen that card listed one time, and at the time I had no clue why people were bidding it up. I'm like, what is going on with this card? It's just shiny. Who cares? and then of course you find out about, what the heck is going on with that set. So that was pretty cool, man. That was incredible.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So let's kind of take a look at for a minute the market we're looking at here. So we look back 2 years ago. I don't know about you, but I have definitely seen it's not just the rise in the 90s market, but A-Rod prices are not getting any cheaper. I mean, every now and then you can get a steal, but not often. So, what have you noticed as compared? Do you feel like the 90s are starting to catch up with his more modern cards, like all of his Yankees stuff, or do you think it's still kind of there's some disparity there?
My thing is glitching out.
Technical difficulties. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, now I can. Yep.
Okay, cool. You want me to repeat that for you?
I think I got part of it. It's like the disparity between his 90s stuff and the modern stuff, right?
Yeah. Are you seeing some disparity still, or do you feel like it's starting to line up?
I think it's still a lot cheaper than it should be, but I think the 90s stuff is definitely getting up there. His modern stuff, only like probably just the really high end, like nice patches and stuff like that, is still selling really high, but like you can still get like the newer like base autos. They can get had for pretty cheap compared to like what you would think it would go for. Right. So it's like there's still like good deals to be had, but not a lot on them.
Yeah, that's what I've kind of noticed too. Is like the deals are coming fewer and far between. I pick up, I'd say once every 3 or 4 months, I can find like a really good deal. Like that card that I posted yesterday. That was crazy, dude. Because I know it's not an expensive card or anything, but the Illuminator, I mean, it looks incredible, man. And for literally $2.99, buy it now. I was like, yes. Because I hadn't found one yet. I only had the Illuminator, not the Luminescent. So every now and then they pop up. No, dude, they look really good, and you can actually get them for cheap still. But every now and then you'll see it, but it's definitely fewer and far between. And you have to admit the fact that he played for the Yankees has definitely driven up his prices across the board, man. Like there's got to be Yankee collectors that just stumble upon his 90s stuff, and all of a sudden we've got another guy bidding against us, I think that's definitely helped his prices for sure. I think something that's really interesting though is if you look at the disparity between our guy and some of the like big guys, right? Like Bonds, McGuire is kind of right below A-Rod, but then you got Ripken, Griffey Jr. There is a huge gap still between Alex Rodriguez and all those guys. And it really is. I mean, for us, we're biased, obviously, but I mean, what's it going to take, Kyle, to get those prices closer? Is it going to happen, you think?
If he gets in the Hall of Fame, I think it definitely will just spike his cards tremendously. But if he doesn't, I think they'll still go up, but probably not a whole lot. But I think he's just a really underappreciated player.
I'll agree with you on that one. I mean, I think people forgot how good he was from the beginning. I mean, I remind everybody that watches this podcast the year he had in 96. I mean, that was ridiculous. And we all agree he should have won MVP, everybody except the Juan Gonzalez collectors. But, they both had great years, but back then they didn't use WAR. And now WAR is like the way to measure and his WAR was double of Juan. So I think that people are slowly starting to recognize, what he's done for his whole career. I mean, look at him now. Now he's on, Sunday Night Baseball, and he's very knowledgeable. His YouTube channel used to be just popping, but he's getting ready for some wedding or something, right? So I saw this video where he, in 1999, did you see this? Where they asked him, who's your dream date? And he said Jennifer Lopez. So like 20 years ago.
Yeah, I saw that. That was funny.
I was like, that is awesome, man. Dreams do come true, Dreams do come true. But I really like what he's doing with his image, I think he's repairing his image. He's being seen in a positive light. I think other than people in Seattle, because they still think he's terrible and they boo him. I think he's really come a long way with his image, and I think his prices have started to reflect that. You know, he's definitely not as easy to collect as he used to be when I first started doing it. I'm probably even, you know, think about 2 years ago when you started looking at prices, you must see a difference already, right?
Yeah. Some cards have even like doubled almost. It's crazy how much they've spiked already.
Dude, what one comes to mind? Like, I know I talked about one last episode, but what card do you think, like, you think of and you're like, geez, this thing's way more expensive now?
A specific one, I can pull it out real quick.
Yeah. Pulling out the mega
This
box.
top one here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was like my original dream card here to get.
Oh, yeah, dude, that card was nasty. Love it.
So this was the first huge card I ever bought. I paid like $500 for it, I think.
That's so cheap now.
And I got offered, yeah, that was probably 3 or 4 years ago now, and
Yeah.
I've been offered $1,050 for it, I think.
Wow.
And that was an easy turn down, but it's like, wow, that's a crazy offer.
Well, can I just say that that's one thing that I really like about, you know, collectors like you and like me is I right now could pull out $500 and offer you for a certain card that you were nice enough to not show, which was hilarious. But I would expect you to say no, and that's what I think is great, because for me, I can't imagine selling anything. Think about all the work and time and money we spent putting these collections together. I can't imagine, you know, at this point in my life, letting anything go. I mean, I you know, that's hard for me to even fathom. One day maybe, but
yeah, I can't imagine it either. It's like,
yeah,
no, it's just, it's more than money. Obviously, it's just, you know,
right.
I don't know how to describe it. It's just they're pieces of me in a way. Every one of them, I love them all the same. So they're all just awesome to have, and it's hard to separate from anything.
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, that's the thing, though. It's the memories that we make collecting. I mean, I think that's what it was like for me. I remember being, you know, like when you got your first A-Rod jersey card. I remember being around 11, 12 years old and 10 years old and getting all my Mariners base cards of A-Rod, Griffey, Cora. And if you pull the Griffey insert, you know, that was huge. That was huge, man. I mean, like that. And so I've carried that on. You know, I had some breaks, unfortunately, because of, you know, there was a time where the market was just super cheap. But, you know, getting back into it, it gives me those same emotions again. So it's been really fun to, you know, find a fellow collector that collects the same player. And you and I are like, hey, you know, did you see this card? Are you going to pick up this card? And we're lucky that we often aren't going for the same cards. I mean, I can think of maybe two that you and I would be like, like, good luck. and we've had a couple bidding wars on some, and then neither of us have gotten them, which has been the most disappointing thing, you know, that neither of us leave the auction with the card. But that's just how it goes. You know, our cards that we're left waiting to get, everybody wants them, unless whether they're an A-Rod collector or not. They're like, oh, this is a sweet card regardless. So that's a tough thing for us, man. But
yeah, I've been scrolling eBay just waiting for a pink credentials to pop up for a while now.
Dude, I tell me about it, man. It's that card. You would think with 100 of them out there and the way that market has gone crazy for that set across all sports, that those things would be popping up like crazy. But you go pick another player, man. I went and looked at Ray Ordonez the other day. He had like everything, goals, the credentials, everything. I was like, what the heck, man? But
yeah, I looked on PWCC. The last one sold 2016, so it's been over 3 years now. It's like you would think one would pop up at least once a year.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you know, my biggest card that I'm chasing, minus the one that you got, that was out of a lot. Just happened, which was such a cool thing. Was 2016 as well. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, it's been 4 years. One's got to show up. You know, even though it's numbered out of 50, one's got to show up. So I almost wonder, Kyle, I mean, in your opinion, do you think more people are holding his cards than other players because they are also seeing what we're seeing with the market starting to, you know, go up for him?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of people, since a lot of them, the last time they have sold is 2016, and that was obviously like the last price spike. So I think a lot of people now are just like waiting until they see what they think is the peak now. because
Mm-hmm.
they're still rising like every day pretty much now. So I think people are just waiting to see like how high they can climb, and then they're just
Mm-hmm.
gonna unload some stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because I've gone and looked for, how long I was chasing the early road to the hall. Never saw one for sale since, before I got into it. Well, a bunch of them sold when I took a break for like 2 months in 2016, right? So a bunch sold then. A Fortune 15 sold then. That card, the credentials, they've all sold then. That was the peak. You're right. So then it's been like a 3-year, 4-year hiatus of none of those showing up, except the Fortune. You were able to snag that one. I think it was last year, right? And you were able to get that, or early this year.
I think that was probably, that was earlier this year, probably about 8 months ago or so. Yeah, I think it was March, February or March.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and we'd be remiss to not mention the guy that helped our collections take a step up, and that's Brant. He hooked you up with some sweet cards. He's hooked me up with some sweet cards. It's been really nice to have him around, but now he has told me that he's going to start buying again. So I'm like, oh, I'm not asking you to sell any cards to me anymore, which is cool though, to have, Brant want to get back into it. I still am kind of, I remember when he told me, he's like, hey, I'm going to start selling some of my collection. I'm like, what? So
I think I've probably gotten half of my nicer inserts from him. So he's been a huge help. Like, I wouldn't have a lot of my most wanted cards if it wasn't for him.
I did a video chat with him before you and I started talking, and he had boxes of the ones like the box you have there. And I'm like, hey, what about this card? Boom. I mean, he pulled everything out of my top 20 want list. I was just like, holy crap, man. It was amazing. And he spent, I think he said since 98 or so, he's just been picking them up. So it makes sense. You spend that long collecting a guy, you can, put some really incredible cards away. But how are you like balancing, what to pick up of him? Are you still like targeting specific cards? Because obviously if you're collecting the whole range of his cards, like, do you just look for Alex Rodriguez in general, or do you know some sets that you like target and search for?
There's like main cards that I'm searching for. There's probably like 10 or so 90s inserts that like I really want. So it's like if those pop up, those have priority, but there's also like certain types of cards. Like I've wanted a bat knob of A-Rod for like 5 years now, and I haven't seen one pop up in such a long time. So that's a real big want. And then like a laundry tag that I missed out on in 2015 that I'm still salty about. So
join the club,
really
bro.
want one of those, but there's not too many like specific cards that I'm searching for. Pretty much it's like anything that pops up on eBay, especially if it's an auction, it's like I gotta go for that. But it's like besides that, it's pretty much just like anything I really like, I just go after right away.
Nice. Well, I have to give you credit too, because you do something with your auctions that definitely took a little bit of pressure off for me in some weird way, no matter how you look at it. I had a want list of 100-something things. I would just keep them in there, right? And it was about a month ago, I said, you know what? This is just too much to keep track of. So I deleted everything. And then I bid on cards like you do. I bid on cards that I know I'm going to go after. Rather than just putting them in my want list, just put in a bid. So they show up in that first little chunk. And then I'm watching maybe 15 cards. That's it. So it's allowed me to really specify what I'm looking for. And my save searches are very specific on eBay now, probably like yours. You save very specific criteria. But that's really helped me, man, because holy smokes. It's hard to keep. There's so much out there, man. There's so much.
Yeah, that's the way I do it. It's a pretty easy way to keep track of it. It's like anything on auction that I want, I just bid on right away. Anything that I want to buy that's like at a best offer or buy it now, I watch. And anything, like I have 9 cards in my save for later section of my cart. So anything in there that's like super overpriced, but I still want it eventually, I keep it in there. So
gotcha.
it's kind of doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but it works for me. So
right. Well, it keeps it specific, and that has definitely helped me, man. Because there's always cards out there that like from Burbank and whatnot that I'd like to get this, I'd like to get this, but I definitely it was too much. I couldn't keep track of it all, man. How could I?
Yeah, I I get stressed out if I have anything more than 10 items in my watch list. It's like,
Dude,
how am I going to get all
I
these?
know. Yeah, it is pretty tricky, you know. I mean, it's some of it too, like you said, it's overpriced, and so you're like, you know, maybe I'll make a pass at it. But I've been able to pick up a couple cards just by throwing in a bid right away. You know, like the Tech Gold that I snagged a couple weeks ago. The guy put it up for a crazy high first bid. And I'm like, I'll bid this one thing and see what happens. And you know, look what happens. Sometimes you're able to snag some of those cards, you know. But yeah, I think it would be awesome though, Kyle, because we're coming up on about 30 minutes here, and your video feed improved, which is awesome. So now the cards are really pop even better. We should show off some cards, man. Like that's what we do. I've got, I mean, I've got a bunch in my boxes, but I was going to ask you, have you tried those Pro Mold out at all with any of your A-Rods? See any difference?
I only have a couple in it. I don't have too many Pro Mold cases, but here we go. I only have the finest gold in it, and it looks pretty good in there. I like them about the same. The only thing I don't like about these ones as much is the little lip on top here, so it's like it's hard to get a perfect fit sleeve over it, but they look really nice in here.
Yeah, man, the Pro Molds, I feel like that glossy finish just allows them to pop. And Greg taught me something with those tabs is I like to put them in upside down, so you can see let's see if I can get this thing to focus. All this sunlight is just crazy coming in here. But I put the card in like this, so the tab is actually here. So that allows the card to kind of flatten out a little bit. So I don't know. I mean, I think it makes them look a little bit nicer, personally. But I don't know. I was just kind of curious if you were doing that. But this was actually like I think the second card I ever got. It was that Faces of the Game, and then this was the second one I ever got on eBay. I just saw it. The Amazing Greats die cut, and I love that it was out of 250 and it was from 98. I was like, well, that's pretty cool. That seems pretty low for 98. Well, little did I know that I was passing up a PMG for $150. I'm like, gosh, that's expensive. I'm not going to pay that. Whoops.
Yeah, 250. I mean, that's still pretty rare. I've been, what year is it? The 2000 Stadium Club, what is it? The Beam Team? Is that what it is? Number to 500. I know that. I haven't
from 2001.
And number to 500. I've seen one in the last year, and somebody hit the buy it now on it at like $25 super quick, and I'm like, where was that?
I mean, I got lucky though. You know how it is when you reload eBay. It was sitting right at the top, and I actually I just bought it. I was like, oh, cool. I don't have this yet, but those things out of 500, those never show up, man. It's absolutely crazy how infrequent certain cards show up, especially when they're that high numbered. But again, I think what we talked about with A-Rod, I think having him be a guy that people are kind of sitting on, waiting to see if he's going to have a meteoric rise of his Hall of Fame case starts coming up. I think his cards are going to start getting thrown up there a little bit more once that happens. But yeah, so you have done a lot of you have a YouTube channel and you show off some videos and whatnot, and you have a mixed bag of stuff that you show. You're starting to get into vintage a little bit, I've noticed, which is really cool. Your Clementes are just, man, you're really starting to get some really nice vintage cards. I mean, I'm not a big vintage guy, but I know your grades on them are very, very good. And what's that? I mean, it's got to be tough to try to like go back and forth between eras. You know, you got your modern, you got your 90s inserts and your vintage. Do you have one that's you like better, or is it kind of all the same? Got me?
My audio's like really spotty right now.
It's okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So vintage, 90s, modern, do you have a favorite, or you like kind of getting bits from each era?
I like a lot of certain parts of each era. Like the modern is still probably my main focus.
Mm-hmm.
So if something like super nice pops up of something modern, I go for it. But anything like I just buy anything I like. So like the A-Rod PC is like first and foremost. But if I have like extra, money and stuff, then I'll look at the Clementes and try to get Clemente, but
Mm-hmm.
the A-Rod stuff, just anything that pops up that I really like. But the modern stuff for the most part is like what I go for.
Right. Yeah, I have noticed for sure that you I mean, just from your videos, I mean, I don't want to spoil it too much. Feel free to pull out some of the cards, but like I remember the first one you showed me, that was like, holy smokes. Obviously that was Topps Unique, right? That one-on-one patch that you have, the logo patch. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
What are those? Can you pull out a couple other patches? You got some nasty A-Rod patches that you picked up for good. I think the SPs. Can you pull a couple of those out? Because people are going to be surprised at the amount that you paid then and what they would probably go for now. It is kind of crazy.
All right, so these are all 2004 SP Game Use. That one's out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
This one's also out of 10.
That's the Rangers one, right?
This one, yeah. This is the Hall of Fame numbers out of 10.
Man, that set looks so nice. They did such a good job with those.
Yeah, 04 SP Game Use is one of my favorite sets. Like this card, gosh, this card, I just love that.
And you actually were recommending to me, one had popped up, and you're like, hey, you should go take a run at this thing. It's definitely worth it. They're really cool cards.
Yeah.
Do you think the patch like makes up for the sticker auto? Because I usually try to avoid those.
Yeah, that's the only thing I don't, particularly like. I mean, obviously everybody wants on card, but the sticker auto is like the only attraction about it. I mean, if this was like an on card set,
oh, dude,
it'd be like my favorite cards ever.
Right. Yeah, dude, those are really, really nice. And when we were talking the first time, Kyle, you told me that the prices actually weren't that crazy when you started picking those up, right? Like compared to now.
Yeah, I think this is my most recent one. I think I got this one I think I got it this year. And well, a pretty good deal. I think it was like less than $250 for it. And I mean, that kind of card out of 10 from 2004 for me, I mean, that's a great deal for something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I remember when that card came up and you were saying, hey, are you planning on making a run at this? And I was like, I mean, if I had an unlimited amount of money, A, it wouldn't be as much fun because then you just pick up everything you wanted. But B, I think it's nice to kind of target certain things in case those cards come up that you're looking for. So you don't even have to hesitate. You just, hit the buy it now if it's even close to the right price. But I think it's been kind of interesting because you told me one of those you paid like $70 for a few years ago. And that is just crazy to think about. You know what I mean? That an A-Rod patch out of, that one right there.
Yeah, this was the first one I got. This was probably in 15 or 16. This was the first one of the SP Game Use. And that one, I mean, that's a really nice patch.
Yeah.
Nice, bold autograph, especially for these. And I mean, $70, I don't think anybody could get that for $70 now.
No. I mean, if it went up on eBay for anywhere close to that for a buy it now, I'd be like, yes, please. And he's got the sunglasses. You know me, man. I dig those pictures big time. Yeah, I don't know. It looks cool. I want to give a shout out to Bruce. He's watching right now. He just got into the group and he's got the mountaintop.
Mountaintop.
Yep. And that thing has been, that card has gone absolutely bananas, dude. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, just we're talking like almost 5 digits. Unbelievable. Anyway, yeah. That card makes me weak at the knees when I just look at it because I'm like, well, I don't know if I'd even want this in my house, dude. I'd have to put a bodyguard outside my door. But
a safe inside of a safe.
Right, exactly. That's good thinking right there, man. All right, so let me see here. Where can I go next? Just so we can show off some cards. What pull out some of your 90s stuff, man. Let's just show off a few and talk about why we like them because I've got my top 40 or 50 or so in pro mold cases. So definitely got a few here. This is one, I don't know, man. I was going through my rookie card collection and we talked about being able to find steals, and I still love this card right here, the 94 score rookie traded card. These things
the redemption one, those are cool.
Yeah, man, and these still sell really, really well. I'm gonna have to close my window because the light. There we go. Yeah, these still sell really, really well, and I'm like I said, it was so cool to find it in a case that was all like nasty and scratched up, and it was just in perfect condition inside the case. That's at least a 9. Just looking at it, that's at least the PSA 9.
Wow, yeah, that's
for sure.
Great for those too. Those are
definitely. How about you, man? What's one that come like when you're looking through it, you got one that just stands out? You're like, oh, I love looking at this card.
Yeah, this one here. Love the shine on this one.
Oh, yeah.
Allegiance refractor, even though it's not the serial numbered one, but
right.
Still, I saw it. I think I remember about this one. And
yeah, you're like, look what I just got.
I had to get that one.
Oh man, it's great though. that card had popped up probably a year before we started talking, and I didn't. Again, I'm like, it's numbered out of 100, and I'll bid like $20, and wasn't expecting it to do anything, and it kept going up. It got to like almost 40. I was like, what is going on with this card? And of course, now none have been listed, the serial number version, not one for 2 years. So I think the out of 100 is very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's deceiving. It's a very deceiving serial number because they're a lot rarer than that shows. If like we went off that for those collector's choice cards or the StarQuest Gold, they wouldn't sell for hardly anything compared to what they do, but they never show up. So it's just,
I don't have a
crazy, man.
Yet either.
Well, you can pay that astronomical amount for that one that's on eBay right now. There's one that's on there for a lot.
Oh yeah, that's from our favorite seller.
Yeah, dude, definitely. This is one again. I think this is the first. I had this in my video. This is my very first A-Rod pickup, and it's a very simple card. It's got kind of like a papery canvas finish on it. Faces of the Game. I really like the way these cards look with the gold or the silver foil around the edge of it. The gold is the non-die cut. But then the serial numbering is almost like ink stamped instead of the foil stamp. So I just love that card, man. Super simple, but it looks awesome. That was the first one I got 4 years ago. So it was die cut numbered. I mean, you can't beat that when you're going for 90s cards, If you got a pair of Beats, man, you better get rid of those things. It's time to upgrade, man. What about you? I'm kind of curious. You said the first 90s card you grabbed was what again? Was it the limited exposure? Was that the very first one?
I'm not sure what the first up was. I always had like a few, just like decent ones. That was probably like the first one.
Yeah. Like
higher end one that I like always wanted. But not sure what my first one was.
I've got another one here that you might recognize. This was a fun one, and again, this doesn't pop up that often either. It's got that same kind of numbering on the back. Does this card look familiar at all?
Oh yeah, that looks cool. Yeah, I think I've seen one of those. I think one of those ends tonight.
Well, yeah, hopefully, and of course. The price was so ridiculous, not because of you, but because of the numbering, man. Look at this, of course. And me not caring about this kind of thing. I don't know. It's not popping up there. Darn it. It's numbered 13 out of 100. And, I got the card and looked back. I actually had to bust this out of that graded case, if you remember, which was not easy. But, and then, of course, I'm looking at the card and I was like, why is this card so expensive? And then it hits me. Jersey number. Do you care about that, though, on your serial numbers?
No, just having the card. I don't care what number it is.
Right.
It's like understand why people pay more for it.
Either, dude. I don't know, man. Some people, everybody's got their own preference with collectors, man, for sure. Let me see something else you haven't shown off, man. I enjoy seeing your 90s cards and why you like them for sure.
Shown this one off in quite a while. It's the 97. Man. Certified Stars, Mirror Gold. That one just has ridiculous
those are such beautiful cars. Oh, dude. And you didn't have, yours doesn't have a print line either, right? Didn't you get a pretty straight, legit one?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this one came from Brant too, and there is a print line. I don't think you can even notice it on camera. Like,
No.
it's a. I think it's like right, but it's like the faintest print line. It's almost just like a streak on the card. I don't know. I've never seen a print line like that before.
Mm-hmm.
It's just.
Those I have the red and the blue, and both of mine have a line on like the bottom of the card, and I've peeled both of mine. I don't know if that one's peeled, but man, they shine so good. And I was gonna go grab the gold because I know one was listed not too long ago, and I think that's not the one you got. Somebody else picked it up. So let me see what else we got in here. I don't want to show anything that you don't have really. That wouldn't be too nice. Oh yeah, of course you were there for this, right? You were there for the old die cut, man. That was a fun memory to have. And my sunlight's finally changing for me.
That card is awesome, man.
Yeah, which seriously, we don't see any of these upper decks out of 10 hardly ever pop up, man. I mean, I think I've seen 2 from Encore, and yeah, it was so crazy that one was sitting at the National. You wouldn't think that would be a place you would find a rare insert, but it happened. You know, pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's the most awesome place to find it, though.
I know, right? Like the memory is always there. Yep, absolutely. You know, I yeah, definitely one that I was not expecting at all. I'm trying to think. Have there been any cards that you've been like, hey, Matt, you got to go pick this up, or vice versa, that I sent it to you and you were like, I don't have that one yet. I know there's been a few because we're always hitting each other up, you know, trying to say like, hey, this card's on eBay. Do you have, or have you picked it up yet? No, thanks, I didn't have it. That's been super helpful, you know, for us to be able to give each other quick little shout outs. Sheesh. Oh yeah, and you just recently grabbed one of these, didn't you? The Bowman's Best Atomic out of from '98. Didn't you recently grab that? Can't remember.
Yeah,
that was like awesome.
I got one right here.
There it is.
Those are gorgeous cards.
I don't know about you, but I just have the toughest time getting that thing to photograph well. Seriously, it's so tricky. Yeah, they're amazing cards though, dude. I don't know what they were thinking in '99. Fell off the wagon with their idea there. Sheesh. Man. All right. Yep, definitely a lot. There's so many good cards to choose from, man. It's hard. Let's see.
These two.
Oh yeah, those SP Authentics, yeah.
Yeah. The simple design, not a lot going on with them. Just different colors, nice foil, and the design on those ones just works perfectly.
Definitely. Hey, what's up, Shane? Thanks for popping in, man. Good to see you in here. Just showing off some A-Rods for a bit. Yeah, this card will bring some memories to you, because talk about a card that we both lost out on. This is similar, but we haven't had the chance to get yet. Here's the non-foil version of that card. If my camera is going to focus in on it here. So the Team Pinnacle mirror, or this isn't the mirror, but this is just the Team Pinnacle Gold. Just a sweet card, man. It's got Larkin on the back of it on the foil side, but I just love that card. I love the picture on there. It's very, very unique. I mean, who knows who he's yelling at, you know what I mean? But we had some fun going after that card when it went listed, huh? Because we both were like, our max is this. And you know how it is when a card like that comes up, you're like, I can go a little bit higher. So I threw up my max bid and it got blown out of the water, which, I mean, I'm sure I was disappointed, but it also makes me a little happy to see Alex's cards go that high, because I know that last time that card sold was like for 150 less than that, you know? So
yeah, what was it? It was like 450 or so.
Yeah, yep, 450. Crazy, man. Oh, that's just nuts. And you have this one, obviously, right? Oh, not that one. I don't want to. That's the wrong color. Here we go. So you have yourself a green Crusade. I mean, we did an episode on this in the official podcast not too long ago. You have to tell me that when you first started getting into 90s, that card, I mean, those are like the iconic, right? I mean, you were like, yep, got to get one of those for sure. There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
And yours
I've really
is,
been
yours
wanting
is graded too.
a purple lately too.
Well,
Yeah,
you
mine's only an
thankfully
8.
helped
I
me out
think
with
it
that.
has like just a small crimp in the corner, but I don't know, this card, I mean, these are just so cool. Maybe one of the shiniest cards of the 90s.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to argue
The
against
shine,
that.
next level.
I saw that you had another one out there too. I think I know which one that was as well. Yeah, you had another. I thought it was from Ionix, right?
Oh, the Ionix, yeah, I can show the holographics, yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious. Is that card up there for me? I mean, that's my all-time right now. Yeah, there it is, Kyle. Very nice. How's that rank for you, man? Is that up there in your top 10 for 90s?
Yeah, it's top 10. I have it 1, 2, 3 in my box. So
all right,
like
all right.
Order of design I like the most. You know, the top
decent.
3 are kind of a toss-up in the box.
That's so hard to do. I mean, I was. That's why I wanted to do the top, top 25, top 30, because it just gives more variety. You know what I mean? For sure. Definitely one that you got to try to snag, and hopefully you'll be able to find one for cheap. Is the moments, because there's still a lot of people that don't know just how rare some of those are. You know what I mean? But yeah, talk about a nice snag for very cheap. Holy moly!
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, hear you fine. Yep.
I unplugged my headphones because the audio was crazy on those. It wasn't working.
Yeah, it's all good, man. I hear you just fine for sure. Yeah, it's tough to pick. There's some of them in my pro mode box that I know you don't have yet, so don't want to show any of those off yet. But it is fun to go through here and look at some of these cards. I don't know about you, but when you start getting boxes filled up like this, of all your magnetics, you start digging through and you forget that you have some of them in here. I don't have them all photo organized. Like, have you organized your collection with photos or anything like an Excel spreadsheet or anything like that yet?
No, I have a really good memory, so I just just remember where they're at. I don't know how. I can pretty much just pick out a card in a row and just pretty much know exactly what one I'm picking up.
Well, the first time we talked, it was funny because you had your camera looking down at your box, and I'm like, "Hey, can I see this card?" And you're like, "Boom, right there!" Like you knew exactly where it was. It was awesome, dude, for sure. Let's show off one more. I got to try to find something that I know we both have kind of looked at, or that we want to pick, that we want to show off here. Oh yeah, I'll show off this, as I haven't shown this card off the camera yet, so this is a good one. Now, the thing about the 90s, anybody that's listening, and I know Kyle's learned this over time, is just that there's cards that go unnoticed or get listed incorrectly because the information's out there, but the people that are listing these cards are not digging into it. And this card, I think, sets that example perfectly. This is from 94 Collector's Choice. It's the white letter silver signature variation. I put this in front of my face. There we go. So this card has an interesting story where the white letters came in the box sets, but the white letter silver signatures did not get produced. There was not many of them. We don't know how few of them were produced, but I've only ever seen a few copies, and I know it doesn't have the white letter on the back, but as far as I know, these are the second rarest, and they constantly sell in the 80 to 90 range. So this was mislisted, and I got it for very cheap. So I was super stoked about that. So I had to show that off for sure.
That's something I didn't even know. I just knew about the golds were the, the top of those.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the golds still sell higher, but yet you can find them easier. So I think there's just more people know about them, and more people like gold over silver. That's how Collector's Choice has made us think, at least. So, all right, what do you got there, dude?
All right, here we go. Got this Muhammad.
Oh, nice.
Mine is not in the card version. It is just a picture, though.
Wow, man. Greg's going to be honored that you showed that at the end. That's awesome. Oh, man. Good deal, man. Good deal. That's awesome. Well, before we get going here, oh, here we go. You do have a card. Oh, yes. Let's see it. Go ahead.
It's the 2000 Skybox Rubies.
Oh, dude.
I don't think it's
awesome.
really doing anything on camera.
But they don't, though, man. That's the thing about those rubies is they don't. You have to get them perfect. How many times did you get a picture before you posted it in the group that actually looked nice?
It was probably it was at least 25. I tried like 20 different angles. It was impossible.
It's a really tough one, and that's a great card to show at the end to kind of do a nice wrap up for me before we get going here. Is one thing that I love about the hobby is we all have respect as collectors, whether we're collecting the same player or different players. We're always trying to help each other out, and you and I were going for like the same cards at that same time, and what we kind of did is you said, okay, which one do you want more? And I said, which one do you want more? And you wanted that one more, and I wanted a different one more. And I can't remember. Did we both get them? I can't remember what the card I was going for was. There's a few that I got at that point, but I know you really wanted the rubies. And what was great is it sold for cheaper than we both thought. So what's awesome too is when a card goes for cheaper, you really want it to be your friend who picks up the A-Rod, who wants it. And then it can be shown off in the group. So that's got to be one of my favorite things, Kyle, is that we're always kind of checking with each other like some of those other groups do, the Bonds and the Jeters and the Griffies, is we're kind of checking with each other to make sure that, hey, what level of interest do you have here? If you're kind of like, meh, then I will stay away to try to keep the price down. And that's been really cool, man. Definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, it's definitely helped both of us a lot. We probably ended up bidding on each other before we started talking too, and just saved ourselves a lot of money and frustration.
Yeah, no joke. I mean, I would be curious to know. Well, actually, looking at your collection, I know the two that I missed out on that really got me a little salty, which is normal for anybody. We're never going to win them all. I think that's a clear thing. But looking back at those cards, I've learned my lesson, and I overbid now for cards just to make sure I get them, because you almost have to nowadays. He's becoming more and more well known, and so you and I can't be stuck on these prices from 3 or 4 years ago because they mean nothing now with certain cards. So, and like we said, man, I mean, I think we could agree. I think the market is just going to get hotter for them, especially if that Hall of Fame case starts ramping up.
Yeah, I don't even want to know the prices.
I mean, let me end with this question. Do you think he gets in before his 10 years are up?
Should he? Yes. Do I know? I have no idea. I think if Bonds gets in, definitely. So yep. I'm really hoping Bonds gets in. So I think he has 2 or 3 years left. So hopefully he gets in by his last year. And I think if Bonds gets in, I think A-Rod's pretty much a lock.
Yeah, I think we're going to see it. That's me too. I normally don't root for Bonds to do anything, but I will say that I really want him to get in the Hall of Fame so that he, he can kind of get the ball rolling for everybody else. You get Alex in there. Roger will get in. I think, other guys will definitely get some strong consideration. Do you have them both on the same card?
Yeah.
Yes. Perfect. That card's going to go absolutely through the roof if they both get in. My goodness gracious. Oof. All of his cards will, but Yeah. Wow. Well, Kyle, hey, I gotta head out of here, dude. I really enjoyed having you on here, just chit chatting A-Rod for a while. You know, you've been a huge contributor to the '90s group. You and I are definitely trying to figure out how to get the best pictures on our phones. We'll say that, just getting that right angle and that shine. Really enjoy trying to bring more love to A-Rod and everything. It's been awesome so far, man. I'm really excited for the next few years to see what our guy ends up doing.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks again for the ball, dude. I will definitely be tagging you and showing it off on the podcast when I get that thing mounted in that glove with the ball in the middle with his nameplate on there. That's going to be really cool. And thanks again for watching all the podcasts, Kyle, and everybody else watching. Hope everybody has a good rest of their week and their weekend. Take care.
It's fun to do it again soon.